A lot of photographers fall into the trap of getting good at one style of photography, and this becomes their comfort zone. They know what setting, light, and locations work, and those become their go-tos. While it's great to be able to master a certain genre, I think this can be extremely limiting creatively and often leads to stagnation and lack of inspiration. I've definitely been guilty of this, but recently I have really been pushing myself to try different genres and techniques that are foreign and often quite confusing to me, and it's made such a big difference to my relationship with photography. So in today's video, I am going to break down 5 ways to get out of your comfort zone as a photographer and gain more skills, whilst also boosting your inspiration and motivation when it comes to the act of photography. These 5 tips are easily accessible and applied to any style of photography, whether you are beginner or very advanced. I'm really excited to share these with you guys, so let's get into it. Number 1 is find a photo buddy. When you think about it, photography is quite a lonesome practice. It's something that we often end up doing on our own, and I think that this is exacerbated by the fact that a lot of photographers tend to be introverts. I think the combination of these things can lead to a lot of photographers getting in a rut because we get in our own heads. The antidote to this is getting out of your comfort zone and attending something where you can connect with other photographers. So this could be a group thing, even though I know that that can be very anxiety inducing. Attending any kind of local photography events, workshops, photo walks, or gallery openings that you can, and connecting with other photographers in the hope that you find someone that you can specifically connect with. I totally get if you don't enjoy group things, and I think that the next option is better for those of you who aren't big on crowds. I know I like a more one-on-one kind of setting. This could be in the form of a mentor or something more casual like a photo buddy. Obviously, it's great when you find someone who likes photographing the same things as you, but when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone, I think that it's very useful to find someone who's doing something a little bit different to you. I have actually found a photo buddy in my husband who has a very different style to me and is interested in a lot more photography genres than I am. And I've been using this to push myself and try out things that he enjoys and go along with him, see what all of this entails. This has led me to try more advanced techniques, and it's great to build on my skills as well as seeing how we differ. This to me is how we progress and learn as people, is to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It makes you appreciate the process and understand how images outside of your style are created. I find if we don't understand the process behind something, it's hard to appreciate the end result in its, full form. So I really encourage you to seek out somebody, a photo buddy that you can tag along with next time they go and do something that you've never done before, and then vice versa. Tip number 2 is try a new genre. Recently, I've been breaking out of my usual styles of photography and jumping into unknown territory with techniques like long exposures and more recently, nature photography, which is definitely uncharted territory for me. I find these experiences very humbling, and it helps to re-engage that beginner part of my brain where you have to really pay attention. And I find I'm much more absorbed in the act of photography, and I come out of it with an appreciation of what other genres require when it comes to technique and skills. I found this class on Skillshare titled Nature Photography, Recharge and Enjoy the Outdoors by photographer Tabitha Park, and it inspired me to grab my Nikon D700 and 60mm macro lens and take it on a bushwalk to attempt capturing the nature scenes, which for me is very challenging. On this bushwalk, I was using settings that are completely different to me. I had to bring a tripod, I had to be organized and approach it totally differently to my usual run and gun style. I pretty much felt like a total newbie, which is really great. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't get the most mind-blowing photos ever, but that's the whole point of this strategy, is to try something new and just embrace the challenge of it. Because for a lot of us that have been doing photography for a long time, we can get so comfortable in our skill set and we end up complacent, and that's what leads to the rut. In this class, I loved how Tabitha focused more on the experience of being in nature and just noticing the details as opposed to getting too hung up on the gear and technique, which is definitely my style. This class made me feel more comfortable to just give it a go and try out my macro lens in a new setting. There is so much pressure on the results with photography, especially when you are sharing things online. So this class was a great reminder to me to just enjoy the process, enjoy my beautiful surroundings and where photography can take you. I'm really excited to be partnering with Skillshare on today's video. They are a platform that helps you to learn and hone different creative skill sets, and there is literally something for everyone. Whether you want to learn to draw, edit videos, or build on your photography knowledge, you can learn directly from real successful creatives. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare plus 20% off their first payment. This offer is only valid in the month of November, so make sure you act fast and don't miss out on incorporating creativity into your everyday life with Skillshare. Tip number 3 is identify your weakness, which might sound like counterintuitive advice because we are always told to play to our strengths. But I challenge you to identify a weakness in your photography and lean into it. Really go towards that weak spot and tackle it head on. I have been doing this lately and it's been pretty scary at times, but it's also been very rewarding because you prove to yourself that you can do hard things and challenge your creativity. I think that this is what keeps the fire and the spice alive in photography, is putting yourself in a position where you can have that beginner mindset again. You feel, uncomfortable and you have to push through that, and you really have to turn your brain on and be really engaged in the photography experience because I have been photographing for probably over 12 years now. And I know a lot of you watching have been photographing for a long, long time. So we have to actively put ourselves in these positions to reignite our passion for photography again. One that I want to suggest is flash. So many people are very scared of flash, and I was definitely like that. I got started with just the flash that's built into point and shoots, and I gradually moved up from there. And last year, I was doing a lot of commercial work and I ended up having to use off-camera flash and bounce flash and just experiment with all of these techniques. And I was pleasantly surprised at how I was able to, not master these skills, but get a result that I was really happy with and add to my skill set as a photographer. Flash is so underrated and it really opens up your opportunities for where and when you can photograph too. So it's 100% worth trying. I am officially challenging you. The other great thing about exploring a weakness is that it can solidify what you do and don't like. And sometimes it's more powerful to know what you don't like or, what you don't gel with. And to find that, we have to try lots of different things and we have to go somewhere that we kind of feel uncomfortable with. I know certain photography adventures I've been on, I have decided okay, that was an interesting experience, but I really know that that's not what I want to do. It's not the kind of work that speaks to me, but it's been great. It's been a positive because I solidify what I do like and I know where I want to go. So it's just a really great all-round creative exercise. Number 4 is try a new focal length. I am still to this day just completely blown away by how much of an impact focal length has on an image and on an overall photography experience. I've played around with focal length on the channel a lot and challenged myself, and it always amazes me how one difference can make things either so much easier or harder depending on what you usually gravitate towards. We all have a focal length sweet spot. Feel free to let me know yours below. I definitely gravitate more towards a tighter crop, but what happens is I just get so comfortable with that, and photography can kind of just feel too easy and feel boring. The most interesting thing about focal length is how much it impacts your composition. And I think composition is often something in photography that can be easily forgotten too, and is something that we need to practice with a lot. Using a very wide angle lens or a very long lens is going to change your composition so much. So even if you are confident with that aspect of your photography, your focal length or a change in focal length will likely also change how you approach composition. I love experimenting with this because it's so interesting to take stock of how your body gets involved with different focal lengths, how you have to move around to make it work, and you suddenly feel just so much more involved in photography. And I think that we just need to keep putting ourselves in those situations all the time where we can do that throughout the year so that we don't fall into these ruts. I still really struggle with a 28mm lens, and you give me anything wide and I am always going to kind of perk up and pay attention because I really need to be thinking about my compositions, what's going in the frame, how I'm going to approach the scene. Whereas if I have a longer focal length, I feel pretty comfortable and I know that I can get shots that I'm happy with. And with that comes a sense of, complacency. So instead of lusting after a new camera, I think if you do make a purchase in 2026 and you are trying to break out of a creative rut, a new lens, a new focal length for you would be a better buy. Or, of course, you could borrow one from a friend. Try something out that's just totally opposite to what you would normally use. Number 5 is set a goal with a specific time limit and end result in mind. At the time of recording this video, we are approaching the end of the year, and this is a great time to take stock of what you did and didn't accomplish in your photography. Use this intel to set yourself a new challenge. I find that we are all pretty good at that part. We like sitting down and setting ourselves goals or challenges for the year ahead, but it's the actual doing of them that becomes difficult. One great way to ensure that this happens is to set yourself a timeline and stick to it. I always say what gets scheduled gets done. So if you are somebody who's been collecting a body of work for a zine, that's something that you've been wanting to bring to life, but it keeps getting put on the back burner. Schedule in exact times that you will be working on this. So, once a week, you're going to be collecting the work for it. And then once a month, you're going to go through and sequence the work out, schedule in the time for the design of it, and then when you plan for it to be published. It sounds simple, but just having a timeline like that for a project helps you to work towards each step that you've chunked out towards the goal. This is also a great way to push yourself and get out of a rut. The other useful thing that you can do here to help get yourself towards a goal or a challenge is set a constraint. Constraint is something that I talk a lot about on the channel here. I think it's a really useful creative tool and it's totally free. All you need to do is just pick one thing. I like to just use a color, just one color, go out and photograph that. And then from that constraint, you'll find that you get really creative because your mind is focused. You have less decisions to make. You just need to go out and shoot that one color or use that one focal length or camera for a month or a year or whatever it is. I find that constraint can also help to give you consistency across your work. And I think a lot of us can fall into a rut when we feel like we don't have a voice in our photography or a style or anything that we're kind of using to define our work. And constraint can really help to play into that whilst also keeping you on track and motivated. I hope that these 5 tips have helped you to spark inspiration and ideas to get going for 2026 or even something to work on over the holiday period. Please let me know below if you have any strategies or tips, things that you do to kind of freshen things up in your photography. And make sure you click the link below to have a look through Skillshare, see if there's a course on there that could help you break out of your comfort zone. If you've made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching to the end, being a loyal viewer, and I appreciate all of the support over the past year. It means so much to me to have this space to share with you, and I really hope that each video brings you something new, makes you smile, or just makes you want to pick up your camera and get out and take photos, because that is my main aim here. So thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best with any one of these creative challenges. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.